week 9 of the fantasy basketball season. And here's a few centers I would look to add on waivers this week. The first guy's Noel of the New York Knicks. So Noel now, he's going to get a lot of playing time with the injury to Mitchell Robinson, who fractured his hand, and that's going to cost him 4 to 6 weeks. So on the season, Noel, he's ranked 127, 3.8 points a game, 5.2 rebounds, zero point 0.9 steals a game, 2 blocks a game, 60% from the foul line, and 55% from the field. But in the last 2 weeks, Noel, his game stepped up, 6.4 points a game, 5.2 rebounds, a whopping 3.2 blocks a game, 65% from the field. And Noel, when his first game started with New York versus Houston the other night, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks, and 83% from the field. So these type of performances, I think Noel could bring to fantasy owners and the New York Knicks. Noel, he's going to block shots. Obviously, he's not going to be a huge scorer, and I think he could get 5 or 6 rebounds a game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Noel could average 8 points, 7 or 8 rebounds maybe, and 2 or 3 blocks a game with a high field goal percentage. And that's not great numbers, I know, but it will help in some categories, and especially in the shot blocking category, because Noel, he's a block machine, it seems like. In the last few games he's played, in his last 5 games, Noel, he has 16 blocks, so he definitely has a knack for blocking the basketball. He's a good rim protector, and I think he's a good pickup in fantasy basketball. And right now, he's flying off the waiver wire. He's only available in 43% of fantasy leagues, so if you need some center help, Noel's a guy definitely to go out there and get. The next guy to get on waivers this week at the center positions, Jacob Polti of the San Antonio Spurs. So Polti, he's been playing well in the last few weeks. On the season, he's ranked 159 in fantasy basketball, 6.5 points a game, 7 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.5 blocks a game, 60% from the field, but a terrible 31% from the foul line. In the last 2 weeks, he's ranked number 51 in fantasy basketball, 9.6 points a game, 9.3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 blocks a game, 46% from the foul line, 66% from the field. So Polti, he's got a knack as well, like Noel, to block the basketball, get some rebounds, and play good. In the last few games, he's been pretty good. February 8th versus Golden State, 14 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks. Then versus Golden State again, February 9th, 4 points, 5 boards, 2 blocks. Then at Atlanta, February 12th, 14 points, 12 rebounds, an assist, 3 steals, 3 blocks. Charlotte last night, 8 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 4 blocks. So Polti, he's got a knack to block the basketball. He's a pretty good rebounder. And right now, Greg Popovich, he's playing him about 25 to 30 minutes a game. And last night he played 37 minutes. So right now, Polti, he's definitely worth an ad. And he's available in 51% of fantasy leagues. And he's a guy you can't go wrong with at the center position. He'll get the rebounds, he'll get the blocks, and have a good field goal percentage. The next center I would look to add on waivers this week is Cody Zeller of the Charlotte Hornets. Zeller, he's been on the list now the last 2 or 3 weeks since he came back from injury. Is Zeller on the season? He's ranked 95th in fantasy basketball, 10.1 points a game, 8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 75% from the foul line, 52% from the field. And the last few weeks, he's playing even better with 12 points a game, 8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 81% from the foul line, and 57% from the field is Zeller. And Zeller, he's pretty much the only real center option over there. Bismack, Biyombo, I know they're not a big fan of him, and we saw that when Biyombo started for Zeller, and they didn't play in big minutes. So Zeller, he's getting about the 25-30 minute range. In the last few games, he's played well. At Memphis, February 10th, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. February 12th versus Minnesota, 17 points, 8 rebounds, an assist, a block. And then last night versus San Antonio, 10 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, a block. So Zeller, he could score the basketball pretty well. His field goal percentage has been solid this season, and he's got a knack for the rebound, and he's not going to really block shots. But if you need a guy that could go in there and get you about 10 points, 8 boards, a few assists, and a good field goal percentage. That's pretty good. But there's not many centers anymore in the NBA who are going to have huge double-doubles and big games. There's probably only a handful of two this year in fantasy basketball in the NBA that are going to be consistent and put up big numbers. I think Cody Zeller, he's worth an ad. He's available in 51% of fantasy leagues. And you could get worse than Zeller at the center position or have a guy on your roster. The next center I looked at on waivers is Kelly Olynyk of the Miami Heat. Olynyk, he's been on this waiver wire column and list the last few weeks as well. And on the season, he's ranked 100th in fantasy basketball. 10.3 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.5 threes a game, 66% from the foul line, 43% from the field. And in the last 2 weeks, he's ranked 81th with 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2.9 threes a game, 57% from the foul line, 48% from the field is Olynyk. So Olynyk, he's playing about 30 minutes a game now the last few nights, and we know he can hit three-pointers. We know he's a decent rebounder, but he's more of a scorer and a three-point shooter for fantasy owners. And February 9th versus the New York Knicks, 20 points he had, 3 rebounds, 6 threes. February 11th at the Houston Rockets, 6 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 threes. And then February 13th at the Utah Jazz, it was a little bit of a down game, but he still had 7 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 37% from the field. So Olynyk, he's starting to rebound better as well. But like I said, he's more of a scorer and a three-point shooter. And that's not a bad thing to have a center who can do those type of things for your fantasy team. That's more like having another guard or a forward at the position with adding a few more rebounds. So Olynyk, he's available in 55% of fantasy leagues. And I would go out there and get him. He's still going to play. I know they got Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler's been playing well, but Olynyk, he's seeing consistent minutes and playing pretty good for this Heat team. And the fifth and final center, I would look to add on waivers this week's Frank Kaminsky of the Phoenix Suns. Kaminsky, I recommended him as an ad last week, and this week he's made the list once again. Is Kaminsky on the season? He's ranked 270 with 6.7 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 60% from the foul line, 45% from the field. But the last 2 weeks, he's ranked 169 with 9 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, a 3, 49% from the field. So Kaminsky, he could score the basketball. He could hit some threes. His rebounding ain't all that great, but the last few games, his numbers have dropped. But I think it's just been fluky. He's still going to play 20 minutes about. February 10th versus Milwaukee, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. February 13th versus Philly, 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and a steal. But he only played 11 minutes there. And February 14th versus Orlando last night, 4 points, 8 rebounds, and 19 minutes of play. So Kaminsky, he's still going to get playing time, I believe. 20, 25 minutes a game, he will fall into that category, is his playing time. He could hit three-pointers. We've seen with an expanded role, he could score the basketball. And he's also a decent rebounder at 7 foot. He's available in 93% of fantasy leagues. He's more of a deep league ad, but with all the injuries and the guys going on the COVID list this season, I don't think Kaminsky's a bad option. Just you got to watch what his playing time is going to be the rest of the year, because obviously if he's not going to play much, he's not going to be on your roster. Well, I still recommend him as an ad and see what he does this week. So that's a few centers I'm looking to add on the waiver wire here in week 9 of the fantasy basketball season.